Welcome to the Veterans Impact Show, where our commitment is to help, hope, and healing of our veteran family and our nation. I'm Jim Blythe, a U.S. Navy veteran and a certified senior advisor. Join us as we continue the mission of leadership and commitment to our communities and our great country. Why, you never know where we're going to go or who you're going to meet. We invite you to join in, plug in, and share in what we do. This is your Veterans Impact Show. Welcome aboard. What a great, beautiful fall day we've got. Meet my co-host, Cedric White, Healing Thine Heart's Ministry. Amazing what you do in marriage management. What do you call it? Boots on, boots off?
Boots on, boots off. Yes, sir.
It's one of the best. If you want to know more, go to healingthinehearts.org, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I got it right. We're here to bring you help, hope, and healing. We're also here to bring you real American heroes. And I had a friend call me up and said, you got to meet this guy. And I'm like, wow. And I started looking him up. I'd like for you guys to meet Felix, Nighthawk, Giles. He is a Baja 1000 road racer, a U.S. Navy sonar technician, and he teaches computer science today. Felix, welcome aboard, brother.
Hey, it's an honor to join you.
Well, thank you. Which submarines did you serve on, or is that classified?
Well, my very first one was the SS BN 633, the Kazimir Pulaski. Then I was on the John Marshall, another SSBN. I was on the Tyru SS 416, which was a World War II diesel boat where we got to shower once a week, whether we needed it or not. And then after that, I was on the James Monroe, Simon Boulevard, and then finished up with the Bonefish, another diesel boat.
Ouch. I bet you know what it is to take a saltwater shower. Mm-hmm. Ooh. What was that lava soap that we had to use? That's where we all got our hair cut. Hey, Felix, what was some of the good things? Because you spent 13 years in the Navy. What were some of the good things about the Navy? Where did you get to go?
Well, I think besides all of the travel, because I traveled all over the world, from Asia to South America to the Mediterranean, both, huge oceans, Atlantic and Pacific. I went everything, but I think the biggest thing I got out of the military was all of the education.
Really? So you had to do a lot of nuclear work on a nuclear boat. That also qualified you for some other things as well, didn't it? You said you took about 30 classes?
Well, I was a sonar tech on submarines, so I used my ears, and basically I had to learn everything about the Russian Navy, and I knew more about the Russian Navy than I did our own Navy. But I went to over 30 schools while I was in the Navy.
Wow. And that's a good thing. Yeah. We all got to travel a lot.
Well, gave me a great resume.
That's for sure. That's for sure. I mean, as you say that, knowing more about the Russian Navy, so understanding different sounds, different, maneuvers and so forth, that made you pretty an important guy, especially in the submarine world.
Well, if you saw the movie Hunt for Red October, I was the black guy in that movie that was on the sonar stack searching for the Russians. So that was my job. And as a matter of fact, in one of our little situations, we kind of got detected. And next thing you know, they were trying to take us out because we're a little bit too close to their homeland. And I lost 40% of my hearing and gained tinnitus from their, trying to take us out.
Well, when you say trying to take us out, did they fire a torpedo at you, or did they use some sort of underwater blast, or what did they do?
Well, they were doing whatever it would take. And so, without going too deep into classified stuff, they had every right to do it because we were in their backyard.
Well, hey,
I got a question. Where did you get the nickname or call sign? Naval aviation, we called them call signs. Where did you get the nickname Nighthawk?
Well, when I started racing in off-road, it was a wonderful situation for me. But one year I didn't have a sponsor, so I volunteered to fly in a emergency communication and rescue airplane for the races. And I was involved in so many life or death situations that they decided that I needed a nickname. And the first nickname was Angel in the Sky. But when everybody saw me, they went, wait a minute, this dude ain't no angel. So they came back, and it was actually a racial thing. It was kind of funny. They said, well, he's a black guy and he flies in an airplane. So Night for
Nighthawk.
black and Hawk for airplane. And everybody loved it. The LA Times did a beautiful full-page story on it, and I was the Nighthawk for the rest of my life.
How about that? How about that? Well, now let's go way back. You were somewhat of a risk taker, but as a 5-year-old kid, you got injured pretty bad. What happened to you in that deal?
Well, back in the day when we were kids, because you're not too much older than me, but at 5 years old, I walked 2 miles to school by myself. And so I was crossing the street just like 2 or 3 doors up from my home. And a young sailor with his girlfriend came around the corner, didn't see me, and struck me. And I had so many injuries that I was put into a full body cast and a full plaster body cast from tips of my toes up to right up under my chin. And then I caught the chicken pox in the cast.
Oh, man.
Wow.
So I got to learn about suffering and surviving at a very early age.
Wow.
Man, you did. But you have had the things I read about you and your determination, and your civic pride, what you do. You've got the Nighthawk Foundation. That is an amazing thing that you're doing to help veterans and young children. Tell us a little bit about that, Felix.
Well, the Nighthawk Foundation, I've done so much to help so many other charitable organizations help people. I'm a veteran. I'm a very proud veteran. Sometimes I'm ashamed at the treatment that veterans receive after signing on that dotted line to risk their life for this country. And so what I found was, instead of just feeling bad about it, do something. And that's what I'm working on. We've put together a foundation that's going to help veterans, disabled veterans, homeless veterans. Also, the fact that I do a lot to help sick children. I've done a lot to work with children with cancer, and a lot of those kids have totally changed my life. People consider me brave, but I'm not even close to what some of these little kids have to endure. And so it's made a difference. We're going to go out and next year we're going to truly blow it off the map helping folks. And I'm very proud of our Nighthawk Foundation.
If you could pull up that photograph of Felix that you were showing, where the collage of pictures, there is a picture of Felix and his son in the upper sort of right-hand second over. Felix, you lost your child to cancer. So when you talk about saving lives and helping children, that brings it home big time, doesn't it?
It really does. First of all, our condolences, whether it was, a day ago or 10 years ago. A loss is a loss, and it still hurts from family members. And for you to take up the mission of helping children, helping people who have cancer. That's a wonderful thing. Having dealt with cancer myself, having lost loved ones to cancer, there's an appreciation for that. You know, Jim and I both have had a bout in that arena, and thank God we're still here. But the fight still goes on. So what you're doing is greatly appreciated, Felix.
I lost my mother.
I can appreciate that too.
Yeah, I lost my mother in 1976. And back then, they didn't know a whole lot about cancer. So it was pretty horrible what we went through. And my dad and I and grandmother took care of her. But this is an important thing. So you've gone from being a submariner for 13 years. And I mean, you had probably the most important job on the boat. You were the eyes of the boat, correct? Am I correct?
The eyes and ears of the boat.
Eyes and ears of the boat. How many times did you run over a whale, or did you?
You know, I remember one time when I was very young on submarines, because, you know, my very first job was actually driving the submarine.
Wow.
And so we drove the submarine and we stood watches in the conning tower when we were on the surface. And I remember one night, I was the only one up there on the conning tower in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. And I hear this little rustle of water, and I turn to my right, and a blue whale, the largest animal on Earth, swam right alongside our submarine.
Wow.
And it was pretty much the same length. That
Wow.
was impressive. That was impressive. So I've gotten to experience so many wonderful things as a submarine sailor. I was very proud because only 3% of people in the whole Navy can qualify for submarines. I mean, it's one of the hardest situations to get into. And of that, less than 1% of the people serving on submarines were Black.
I was going to ask you, Felix, what was it that drove you to even join the Navy? Well, how did you begin your Navy career?
Well, I got drafted, you know, because I'm an old guy.
Okay.
I got drafted for Vietnam. And so I ran down and joined the Navy so I wouldn't have to go to Vietnam. And I didn't, you know, back then, if you had a college, you know, situation where they were going to, you know, pay for your college and do everything, you didn't have to go to the military. And so I ran and joined the Navy. And right after 2 or 3 days after I joined, I got a scholarship, a full scholarship to play tennis in college.
Wow.
But I had already signed the paper, and my
it.
mother ran down to the recruiter, you know, with the paperwork and everything. And, you know, the recruiter went, well, Miss Giles, that's fine and dandy, but he's ours now. So I didn't get to go play tennis in college, but I tell you, it was the best thing in the world that could have ever happened to me.
Not much tennis on a submarine.
No.
Yeah, it's a little tight. A little tight.
So let me ask you, Felix, when you did join, what would you say was your experience there? You were talking about, you know, the percentages and things like that for an African American on board a submarine. What was your experience there?
Well, you know, unfortunately, I grew up during the Jim Crow era, and I got to witness a lot of things that totally changed my life, like when those 4 little girls were killed in the church bombing. I was afraid to go to church for weeks. And so I had hoped that when I went into the military, that there wouldn't be the same type of discrimination and segregation and everything else that I experienced. Unfortunately, there was. But the thing that made it okay was there were more friendships that I developed that took away from, you know, the bite of some of the discriminating things that were still happening in the military. And so the brotherhood that I had in the military. It made all the difference in the world, and it changed how I felt about certain situations.
I got to tell you, I was very, very blessed. My grandfather, my mother's father, he was born in the 1800s, and his parents divorced, his mother died, and he was raised in an African-American family in Corsicana. And they were part of our family. Now, in the Deep South, they came through the front door, not the back door. And they were honored members of the family. And that's the way I grew up. And I got to tell you, as I got older and older and saw these things going on, I was like, wow. And then in 1964, was it, that the little girl got escorted by the National Guard to a school in Little Rock?
Yeah, that was Ruby.
Oh, man, I felt for that girl. But you know, one of the most interesting things I ever had happen, and you've got a quote in here from Martin Luther King that your buddy just said, I actually got to see Martin Luther King, and that was an amazing thing in 1966 at SMU. And he was a really amazing human being. Then Diane and I are at dinner in a VFW, and the man I'm sitting next to, Brigadier General Boggs, was a Tuskegee Airman, and he was Martin Luther King's best friend growing up. And he started telling Martin Luther King stories, and that was just fabulous, you know? And he talked about what he had to do and what he went through to make the rank as a fighter pilot. He ended up in Vietnam flying Phantoms. He was in Korea and Vietnam. He retired as a brigadier general. It was tough. It was really tough, especially back then. And it still was. In 1970, when you went in and when I got out, there was a lot of garbage going on. But I got to tell you, being a little kid and being around other little kids that were African-American, black, however you want to call it, I got to tell you, that is a learned thing. You don't grow up feeling that way about kids. They're just other kids to play with.
Well, it's caught, not taught, right? And that's one of the things that people have to understand. But Felix, let me ask you a question in reference to when you look back over your military upbringing. Oh, you know what? I'll ask that question when we come back from our break. We're going to have to take a break here in a moment, but it is a wonderful thing. We have a great guest. We're here talking with Felix Nighthawk Giles. This brother has joined the military. He was a submariner. He's a Baja racer, which I really want to understand a lot more about that. So we will be coming back to you. Here we are, the Veterans Impact Show, looking to give you help, hope, and healing.
Hey, you know what? We're going to be right back, so you stay with us.
Welcome back, and thanks to our great sponsors, Fairway Independent Mortgage, Healing Thine Heart's Ministry, and Symbios Integrative Health. Now, let's get back to this conversation.
I tell you what, real quick, I want to thank DBTV Network and AUN out in Northern California. Very, very special thanks to them for putting us worldwide. Also, sponsors of Fairway Independent Mortgage, my mortgage company. My MLS number is 311-548. And I do reverse mortgage lending in 6 states down here. Also, Symbios Integrative Health, what they do to save lives is amazing. Go to symbioseccn.com. You're going to learn a whole lot, and we're going to take that nationwide. And then, number one, healingthinehearts.org.
Yes, sir.
You are the best in healing thine hearts.
We do our best. We do our best with relationships.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, you had a question for Felix.
Yeah.
I interrupted you.
No problem. I just wanted to ask Felix, in reference to your military upbringing, how do you feel like that prepared you for what you did, what you're doing after your military career? Because you're doing a lot. I mean, you're teaching, you're racing, right? That's diverse. That's not a natural transition. So how did you get into all the things that you're doing now?
Well, I kind of feel like a lot of people feel that any young person should have at least 2 years of service for our country.
Okay.
Amen.
I agree.
I believe it totally makes a difference. I think if we had that now, we would have less crime, we would have less homelessness, we would have less drug use. And I think that the military gives you that discipline and also the base to build on. And everything that I learned in the military, I've used in my civilian life. I was a naval instructor. So from being a naval instructor, and Navy has the best instructor school of all the militaries. So all the militaries come to the Navy for learning to be an instructor. From that, I became a college professor teaching computer science in the civilian world.
Okay.
Also, my work ethic. I developed a lot of my work ethic because I started working at 7 years old for my uncle in Cleveland, George Eli, and he was one of the first black millionaires in Cleveland. He had a demolition business that tore down all of the big buildings there in Cleveland to make room for Cleveland Clinic, which is one of the best hospitals in the world, and also Cleveland Hopkins Airport. But all of that started my work ethic. The Navy took that and fine-tuned it. And from that, I was able to become an aerospace engineer because of all of my training in the military, all the different schools I went to. So as a senior engineer scientist, I helped build the stealth bomber, the B-2. And so everything that I've been doing in my civilian life has a little bit of the Navy's touch to make me better.
Cedric, wouldn't you say the same thing?
I would agree wholeheartedly. Everything except for that racing piece. We'll get back to that. 'Cause I kept trying to see what the tie-in was with the racing aspect.
Well, brother, you drive that big old Harley Hawk. I mean, but you don't
I
go
love
fast.
it. No, I do. Don't tell my wife. But because I have a huge interest in the transition. Was it just? I mean, I think about when you say you got the accident that you had as a child, right? And it's like, okay, did that stick in there that I wanted to move fast? How did you get to the aspect of being a Baja racer?
Well, I when I was an engineer, one of the other engineers that I worked with, they sent us both to Seattle to work on one of the projects. And he told me, when we get back to California, I'm going to take you off-roading. I had never been in off-roading. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. We don't have mountains or
Right.
deserts. To us, off-roading was a bad day in the snow. So, soon as we got back, he took me out to the desert four-wheeling. I fell in love with it. That next weekend, I went out and bought a four-wheel drive. And for the next 2 years, I followed him in the desert, and we invited other folks. And one of the person that we invited had a little bit of money, and he decided he wanted to go racing. And we all became the team, and that was an off-road racing. And when I worked my way all the way up to having my turn to drive, next thing you know, I was making history. It was like being the 1 millionth customer at Disneyland. I had no clue, and but it was an honor to make history. And from that point on, the racing has been in my blood. I had the bad crash. I got hurt really bad. I had 2 cracked vertebrae in my neck, arms, shoulder, ribs, lower lumbar, and heart damage. And so I'm getting ready to go back out there and do it again, but that's because, I'm not that bright.
Well,
No. No, you, in one of the things I read about you, you made a wonderful comment from Martin Luther King. If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. And if you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. My drill instructor in the Navy, Chief Gunner's Mate Marvin, was one of 4 men. They were trapped on one of the rivers in China when the Japanese invaded. These 4 men walked all the way to Vladivostok, over 1,250 miles. And the Russians were so impressed that they turned it back over. I got to tell you, he said the same thing. If you're not walking, if you're not moving, you're dying. He made it more emphatic. And I didn't understand it till I found out his background. So when we come back, we're going to talk more about Felix Giles, Nighthawk. Not only, we've talked a little bit about his foundation, we want to promote that, and we want to talk about his off-road racing and how much fun that is and how you can promote that. So we'll be right back after all these words. And you need to have a commercial of talking about what you do with marriage counseling.
Yes, we want to do all of that.
Yeah, let's do all of that. All right. Felix Giles, thank you for being on board and staying with us, because we're going to make this program all about how fast can you go on a 4-wheeler. I think you had a wreck at 140. Whoa, we'll be right back.
Welcome back, and thanks to our great sponsors, Fairway Independent Mortgage, Healing Thine Heart's Ministry, and Symbios Integrative Health. Now, let's get back to this conversation.
All right, welcome back. Cedric White here, veteran gunner's mate U.S. Navy on the USS Arkansas. Here with Big Jim Blythe, my Navy buddy, also with Felix Nighthawk Giles, another Navy buddy. So we're just Navying it to death today, and glad to have you back.
Absolutely.
Listen, we want to talk about having good sense. Now, Jim mentioned that I ride motorcycles, and I've had a spill once, thank God, and I did some damage, collarbone and ribs, and it was like, I'm not done yet. And my family was angry with me, except for my mom, which surprised me. My mom was like, well, he's going to do what he's going to do anyway. Just pray for him. That's what she said. My question to you is, when you had your wreck, and I think Jim said it was like over 100 miles an hour or something like that.
140.
140. Were you married, and what did your wife say?
Well, at the time I wasn't married,
okay.
So it was terrible. I mean, I endoed. That's going front to back, flipping 6 times. Ended up almost a quarter of a mile from impact point.
Wow.
And yeah, it'll change your whole life, and it has. I mean, I'm still dealing with some of the injuries, and now that I'm older, they kind of pop up when you're not expecting. But I wouldn't do what you do, riding a bike, because you gotta understand something. When I was serving on submarines, there is no place where you can look a far distance, so your depth perception gets totally messed up. And whenever we would come back in port, we would always lose somebody on a motorcycle because their depth perception was totally screwed up, and they'd run into the back of someone. Wow. So I take my hat off to you riding those bikes, because you're taking the chance that I took one day. You take it every day that you're riding a bike. So I take my hat off to you, and I hope you continue to stay safe.
Well, we'll just keep praying for one another. How about that? We'll just keep each other lifted up in prayer.
The last guy, he's got the best shot. What I love to do, I'm a private pilot, and my son and I fly planes. And I love to fly. Now, I've flown low and slow, and I've flown fast and low and high. And I was very fortunate to get to fly TA-4 Skyhawks as flight crew in the Navy. So I walked away from one that turned into a fireball on a runway. I walked away from some other things. I never got hurt. It never messed me up. And people go, you like to do what? On my birthday last year, Felix, I have a buddy who's an aerobatic pilot. He took me flying. We had so much fun. When we got back, I didn't barf. I didn't get sick. But I love it.
Well,
man.
I wouldn't. I look at some of the stuff like that, like skydiving. I
Yeah.
don't see why anyone needs to jump out of a perfectly good airplane.
Same
All in
here.
agreement.
Same here.
Yeah, and I trained to do it, and I never had to, thank God. But I trained to do that. And the drill instructor that was teaching us said, "Hey, we got a 1:30. You guys want to go up this afternoon? You've graduated, and so you can jump out of a real good plane instead of the tower or all that." I looked at him. I said, "You're not mean enough, big enough to throw me out of a perfectly good airplane." He said, "Come on." He was a Marine. I was in trouble. Felix, how do you build up to a 1,000-mile race? I mean, that's like driving from here to what, Tucson, Arizona? No,
A
that's
little
like
bit further. Yeah.
about further.
Yeah.
Imperial Valley. It's only what, about 1,250 miles to San Diego by car in Dallas, or that's almost to Chicago. That's a huge distance. And how do you do that? I mean, do you stop and spend the night? Do you spell each other? How do you do that?
Well, the big thing, the Baja 1000 is an endurance race. And believe it or not, we will do that full 1,000 miles in one day.
Yeah.
One
We don't
day?
sleep. We don't stop to use the bathroom. We don't stop to do anything except get gas and change a tire if we have to. So we just, we do that whole doggone thing, and it's something that everyone that gets an opportunity to get out there and do it is proud of. It's not for the meek of heart.
It is not.
And I tell you like it is, it's very difficult, and a lot of people have asked me, is it fun? It's fun for about the first 10, 15 minutes. After that, it's survival. So it's a hard race. I was supposed to be racing, as a matter of fact, this past weekend, the Baja 1000. It was going to be my first big race back, but the government shutdown made our sponsors nervous, and they decided to wait until next year for me to get started again. So we're going to be starting in March, but there's a lot of preparation. I lost close to 60 pounds getting ready for this race and working out every day, 7 days a week. And so you have to be ready. You have to be at your best alertness, because this race has killed a lot of people, unfortunately. I've lost friends, but it is something that I'm proud to be able to continue to do.
Felix, in the motorcycle world, we call that 1,000 miles in 24 hours. We do 1,000 miles in 24 hours. We call that an iron butt. And I literally just completed my iron butt August of this year. We left Charlotte,
Well,
North Carolina.
congratulations.
Yeah, and made it back to Dallas. We did it in 16 hours. We do get to use the restroom. That's a good thing. We do get to stop to use the restroom and gas up, but it's an endurance test, and you have to be prepared for it. So
What's your average speed, Felix, that you're doing?
Well, average speed, actually, because of terrain, it ends up being somewhere between 85 and 100 miles an hour. Now, there are areas where you can only go like 15 miles an hour,
Right.
like in a silt wash where the sand is so deep and soft that it's like quicksand. And you have to have the throttle fully open to keep you from sinking in the sand.
wow.
And then there are areas where there's flat desert land where you can go up to 150 miles an hour. And so it's crazy, but you have to be prepared for either situation, slow or fast.
Wow. And how many hours then? If you're talking about average speed of that in 1,000 miles, you're talking about 10 hours, 11 hours?
No, we're talking about 24 to 32
Yeah.
straight hours.
Wow. No bathroom, no potty break? No Big
Well,
Mac.
we wear a catheter. That's maybe too much information, but it goes down your leg and comes out and goes onto the floor. So
Well-
it's because you're in the desert, we're going so fast, so much dust, it evaporates, it's gone. You don't have to worry about it.
Well, we had not A10, we had the A1D Sky Raider, and those guys would be up 10 hours, and they carried a little bottle that they would have to take care of it.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, that would be no fun, no bueno.
Do what you have to do.
No, it's
Do
not.
what you have to do.
you go.
24 hours
Yeah.
of that kind of beat. And what's it like at night? Is it you can't see that well? I mean, you got lights all over that thing, but you can't see that far out in front of you, can you?
Well, the big thing about off-road racing is anticipation. And if you are not anticipating what's up in front of you, you can't just do everything on reaction. You have to be able to anticipate what's ahead. I've always been a very good night driver, and but things are different at night. You get fooled by the nighttime, and so it's also a very dangerous time to drive.
I can only imagine. Do you guys maybe drive the course at a reasonable speed several times to get used to the course, or is the course different every time and you're not following the same path? How does that work?
Well, that's called pre-running, and no one in their right mind considers not pre-running the course. When I started, we had maps, paper maps that we followed. Now they have GPS,
Right.
and you can pre-run the course and put notes that pop up on your GPS screen telling you there's a bad turn, or there's a drop off, or there's a jump, or anything like that to warn you, so you know where to hopefully slow down in time to keep you from having a bad situation. In one of my races that I did, unfortunately, they set traps down there in Mexico for the racers, and I didn't see one because I was at the end of the race. And they set a trap for me, and it caused me to drive off a cliff, and we ended up upside down
Wow.
in a dry riverbed. And the same people that set the trap saved our lives and got us out of there. But the thing is, you have to be ready for just about anything. But the joke was, and in the newspaper it came out, that the Nighthawk did the Baja 970 instead of the Baja 1000. Because I was 30 miles from the end of the race when I hit that trap and crashed. So
Was that
was a pretty nasty
it was
joke.
intentional that they did something like that?
It's unfortunate, but it's always been a little dangerous in Mexico.
Well, yeah, I know.
So can I ask you? I want to change a little bit of the conversation, Felix, back to your foundation for the children. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? And if someone was interested in getting more information, supporting you, can you tell us a little bit more about that foundation?
Well, the big thing is I've done stuff for children. Again, it's very well documented. Every year, I've done a certain run down in Long Beach for children with cancer. And it's such a wonderful feeling. Like this past year, when I did it, one of the little girls that I held on my lap and ran with when she was only 4 years old was 16 and almost as tall as me. And to see that success, that this little girl that had cancer is still alive and still
doing.
Still striving.
making a difference.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
No, we love it.
So those kind of things make a difference. It makes you get back out there and do what it takes.
That shows amazing determination, doesn't it?
Determination and the fact that it's worthwhile. Quite often, I say it all the time. You never know when you're helping, when you're just trying to help others, when you're planting seed. You never know what fruit is going to come forth from the seeds that you plant, and that's just showing, Felix, that the seeds that you're planting in riding and running and supporting, right, changed somebody's life. It affected somebody's life, and 10, 12 years later, you get to see some of the fruit of your labor, and that's a wonderful thing.
That is a wonderful thing. Do you ever take people like children on a gentle ride, not a wide open ride, but take them out in the California desert and give them a chance to kind of experience some of that without it being full out and dangerous? Do you ever do that?
Believe it or not, that's not a bad idea. I may just go on and try to do something like that. But, it's off-road racing, unfortunately, and off-roading is, a pretty dangerous situation. And so if we could find a way to do it without having children endangered, I would definitely do something like that. And so you may have given me a wonderful idea to make it happen.
There you go.
Slow down.
Thank you.
I'll give you 2 words, slow down. 35, 40 miles an hour can be just as thrilling to a 6-year-old as 130 miles an hour. Of course, at 130 miles an hour, that becomes terrifying.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
Without a doubt. I think one of the things, too, there are a lot of families, Navy families. Now, where are you located? You're in California. Where are you located, Felix?
I live in a small little town, gated community called Canyon Lake, and it's near Temecula and Murrieta in California.
Oh, yeah, that's beautiful country out there.
Oh, I love it. I have a beautiful view out my balcony, off my back porch. I have nothing but mountains and a golf course, so it's beautiful. I love where I live.
You're a good golfer, too, from what I hear.
Well, I play in the celebrity golf tournaments, but they're all for good causes. And so as long as we get to raise money for a great cause and have some enjoyment playing golf, I get to have the same frustrating moments or making terrible shots just like everybody else.
Hey, Felix, next time, instead of a golf cart, show up in one of your racers.
There you go.
That's what you ought to do.
That would be impressive.
Yeah, go around the golf course, Of course, they probably would not like if you got near the green. That would be.
Oh, yeah, it would make a little big divot.
Yeah, something fierce. But mentoring children, helping children, that's one of the things that Cedric and I talk about a lot, is how we as veterans can participate in our community, how we can help underprivileged children, how we can help kids who are fatherless. I keep saying, let's be a grandfather to the grandfatherless and a father to the fatherless. We've got far too many single families. And then you have military single families where they're going on deployment. And to meet a guy like you, man, put a jump seat in that racer and take a child for a run, even if it's around the block. Let them hear the engine, let them smell it. I got to tell you, what an adventure. Would you like to do that?
I would love to. I'm liking that 30, 40 mile an hour. It's funny because I think about here I am going, I won't say how fast I go on my motorcycle. Right.
Well, at least you ain't riding a PSA 650 Lightning. I did that once. And I drove a Sunbeam Tiger. And guess what? You can't keep one of those things on the ground. It's about as bad as your racer. But we're having a lot of fun. I tell you what, we're going to be right back with Felix Nighthawk Giles, a Baja 1000, a Navy Submariner. Not only is he a racer, but he takes care of children. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, and thanks to our great sponsors, Fairway Independent Mortgage, Healing Thine Heart's Ministry, and Symbios Integrative Health. Now, let's get back to this conversation.
All right, we are back, and on the bottom side of this show, we've been having a blast with Felix Nighthawk Giles, a Navy veteran, a teacher, a engineer, racer. It's like, okay, this guy has just covered the gambit. And then he has the audacity to support children with cancer. So he has, you can tell this isn't a guy that's allowed grass to grow under his feet. So we want to say, if nothing else, Felix, thank you for all that you do. But it is a wonderful thing that you're not allowing. I think, what did you say? You're in your 70s. We'll just stay right there. But you're not allowing age or anything to stop you from doing and helping others. And that, when I love to say, that's a wonderful thing, that you're giving back. And you're helping and you're supporting, and you're even the golfing outings that you're on, right? You're doing a good thing. You're helping others. And that's what it's all about. That's what this country is about. That's what veterans do, right? We're here to help, to mentor, to be the leaders, to be the examples to those who are coming on behind us.
Help be the inspiration for your perspiration.
Yeah.
Which out there in the Baja, you got to be really, you got to be beaten up. I'm telling you. But Felix, that is so great. So seriously, think about taking children for a ride in one of these vehicles that you've adapted so they can be safe and have a place to sit next to you. I mean, I would have loved to have had a ride in something like that many, many years ago.
Yeah. That
would have been so much fun. As it was, my cousin had a Corvette, and I got to do 146 miles an hour with him in his Corvette. We were on a highway, too. But that is fabulous. Where is Felix Nighthawk Giles going next? What are you going to do next?
Well, the biggest thing is we're going to go on and get prepared for, next season. I have quite a few different charitable events that I always support, and we're going to do everything to get our foundation up and running. My foundation president is Kathy Carpenter. She's done a ton of hard work to make sure this effort gets off the ground, and she's also, like I said, the president of our foundation. And so between the racing, the charitable events, the foundation, I think I'm going to have my hands pretty full.
I think you are too. You know what? If you could use a couple of broadcast guys, minister and a chaplain, we could be there. We could figure out a way, right?
I'd be glad to support you.
Would you love to do that?
Would love to.
Would love to do that. We'd love to be able to promote that, come out, do a live remote. We want to help you to be enormously successful. We want to help you to make that foundation, again, be hope, be help, and be healing.
Provide healing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything we could do to help to promote, you're helping others, and you're doing it from a veteran perspective. We want to get the word out. That's what Jim and we set here to do, that, to provide resources to let people know that veterans aren't just sitting around, collecting disability. No, there's a lot that vets can do, and you're proving that. So we appreciate it.
Absolutely. I bet you when you go into the VA, they go, what?
Well, there's a few of them that have heard about my exploits, and so they're happy to see me. But they're like, man, we can't keep patching you up. So
you can.
I'm just trying to make sure I get out there and stay healthy, and make sure I can get this going. And I would love to take both of you guys for a little ride, and it wouldn't be the little kid ride, but you would have an experience, and I'm sure you wouldn't forget.
All right.
Okay, let's do it. All right. And my wife's going, I want to go. I got to tell you, Felix, that would be so much fun. I would love to do that. In just a couple of seconds, because you really said it before, what would you say to a young man or woman who's graduating from high school, graduating from college, trying to figure out where they want to go in life? What would you say to them?
Well, if you notice, a lot of times when you'll see strangers helping people, you'll find out that they end up being veterans. Mm-hmm. And so I'd let kids know. And I just helped a young lady named Amira, as a matter of fact. Uh, she just went through everything to become a Navy corpsman. She's graduating high school, and I let her know that everything I've been able to accomplish has been because of my time spent in the military. The education is phenomenal. They send you to school. You get the experience so that when you do come out of the military, you're prepared for life. You're prepared for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And all the way around, you're a better person.
Yes.
Just think about it. When you come across another veteran, it's a good feeling.
Mm-hmm.
It's a wonderful feeling. It's like you have things in common. I don't care what color you are. I don't care whether you're male or female. But when you come out and you come across another veteran, it's a great feeling because it makes beautiful, wonderful people. Some of the most giving people that I've ever met have been veterans.
That's right. I got to tell you, Felix, we're going to have to go in just a second or two, and I'm going to ask Cedric to take us out with a prayer. But this is important. Again, look up Nighthawk Foundation. You're going to find it when they get the website up. You're going to help these guys out, and it's a fabulous thing out in California. We've got 11 TV stations in Northern California. Mm-hmm. Pastor, would you take us out with a prayer?
Be glad to. Be glad to. Father God, in your name, we thank you. We thank you for people that you have put in place, like your son, Felix Giles. We thank you for what he's done and what he's doing. We thank you for what you allow us to do, to provide resources that will give help, hope, and healing to your people. Continue to keep your hand on this country, Father God, and make us one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. So share this. Amen. Be a part of Veterans Impact Show. Share it with your VSO. Share it with your friends. Get out there and be a mentor to the fatherless. Be a mentor to the grandfatherless. Get involved with your ROTC. Get involved with Sea Cadets. Get involved. We'll be right back next week to see you.